What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are here to take a look at the Lions and Packers injury report from Friday's practice. We now have 1 day left, that is tomorrow, which is the final day of the injury reports for this Monday Night Football game. And we also have some updates from some positional coaches, and they talked about some of these players and whether or not they would play on Monday. So let's get it started.
Way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, and we're going to stand up, and then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and we're going to get up, and then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.
And welcome, everybody, to another video. Glad you guys are here. Yeah, we got some things to dive into today, man. We're back with the injury report. It always feels good when you fly through this, man. It's the weekend. Tomorrow's the weekend. Hopefully everybody has a great weekend. You know, we'll be checking out Michigan, Northern Illinois. That's going to be hype. And then, of course, we got Monday Night Football against the Packers, okay? So that's going to be awesome. But I do want to say this before we get into it. I am finishing up my defensive, or I should say offensive game plan against the Packers. Right now, I'm currently editing that. The plan is it should be out sometime tonight, all right? That's the goal. It should be out tonight, so just keep an eye out for that later. I'm going to do this video first because this is like news, but then we'll drop that video. So if y'all want to check it out, definitely check it out. You don't have to, but I appreciate it if you do. I think it's good. I really do. I'm happy about this one so far. I like this so far. How y'all doing? Oh, wait. Hey, did you guys get the app? You can follow all your Lions content creators over there, man. I'm telling you, it's just like Instagram for the Lions. And to me, that's beautiful because I like Instagram. I get news updates. I see goofy things. That's perfect. You can post your man cave on there. You can have some, chats with other people. You can chat with me on there. It's awesome. It's like a one-stop shop. People say that all the time. One-stop shop for your Lions needs. Hold up. I just came up with a slogan. I might need to get paid for that. But seriously, go download the app. You can click the link in the description. I believe there is a link to the app, but I think it's easier just to look it up in the App Store. You can follow me on there. I'm just DoseOfDion, and there's a lot of other creators over there as well. It's pretty cool. It's a very interactive community. Herman Moore, I've seen him in the comments, so you could probably talk to him. So I'm just saying, now, let's dive into this injury report. Okay, we started off with the Packers yesterday, so I think we're going to keep that rolling. Let's start off with the Packers first, because honestly, there's not a lot of major changes to the Green Bay Packers side of the injury report, so I think we can just fly through this. All right, starting off the tight end position, Josiah, Lucas Patrick, both players in concussion protocol. Neither of them participated either today. So we do see the progression from Thursday to Friday with this setup. And then, of course, Saturday, I'll squeeze all 3 in there. But I do want to say this about this concussion protocol. So I kind of dove into it a little bit deeper to try to figure out how it worked. Just because you had no participation today doesn't guarantee that you can't play in Monday Night Football, because the protocol steps that you have to take aren't necessarily he has to return to practice. It's more just like steps that they have to take physically, with their trainers and things like that, getting back to stretching, aerobics. It's a weird 5-step process. I could read the whole thing, but it's probably a little bit confusing. But I'll give you the headlines. The first step is symptom-limited activity. All right, so your prescribed rest, your limiting activity that you are doing. The second step is aerobic exercise. So this is under, vision of your medical staff. You're getting back to exercise. This does not mean you're practicing. It's just aerobic exercise. So you could be going through these steps, but at the same time be listed with no participation because you're not participating in practice. You see what I'm saying? Step 3, a team sport-specific exercise for 30 minutes. Still not necessarily practice, but it's football specific. Not actually practice, just a sport related exercise. The 4th step is club-based non-contact training drills. This is where you do practice just non-contact. This is the 4th step. These 2 steps that you have to pass to return. I don't think that would show up as participation. Like, let's say you're running routes as a receiver catching passes. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're practicing, right? So you still show up as no participation. And then the 5th step would be that you are full football activity and clearance. It has to come from 2 sides. It has to come from your team's medical staff. They have to clear the player first. Secondly, you need an independent neurological consultant. All right, so a brain doctor, a brain expert. Okay, a brain expert. You need those 2 things to be cleared. So it didn't sound like yesterday when they were talking about a guy like specifically Tyrell Williams, they were super optimistic that he was that close. So it doesn't sound like he'll play on Monday. The median amount of time missed I've seen for quarterbacks is 7 days. So, we'll see what happens. It's it'll be about 7 days. So that'd be like right on the dot, which means next week is probably more likely. Za'Darius Smith has been placed on injury reserve, which means he'll miss at least the next 3 weeks with the lingering back injury. It's not like he played a ton last week. He only played 18 snaps. And according to the floor, he was like, do we keep him out there and have him limited, or do we just shut him down and let him get rest and let him get right? So I think that's the right decision that they're making here. And now you wonder who's their backups. Well, Rashawn Gary will be the initial guy to step in. Gary's got a little different build, but he plays the outside linebacker position. Remember, from Michigan, he played defensive end. But they also have depth there as well. They have Jonathan Garvin, who they also brought in. Some of their inside linebackers, like Devondre Campbell, he has lined up at outside linebacker. They have depth there, so it's not like a terrible position. It is a loss, though, because Preston Smith I view as a much better run defender, at least from what I saw so far. Za'Darius Smith, a much better pass rusher. The guy had 26 sacks in 2 seasons, which is nuts. So they're losing a pass rusher. That is for sure. That is a big loss. But Rashawn Gary's still a heck of a good player, and he's played a lot of snaps for Green Bay really last season, and now this year he played 60% of the snaps because of the on and off with Za'Darius Smith. I think the one spot where you can get him out of places here is just some of the play recognition, picking up on play action, things like that. You can get him kind of sucked in, you can get him out of positions, but purely at his job as a tackler, he's a good tackler. He only missed 1 tackle last season. He's also really developed into a good pass rusher in the NFL. We knew he could do it back in Michigan. The guy had listed for 5 sacks. I think PFF listed him for 7, but 19 pressures on the season. He was a better pass rusher than a run defender, arguably. Simply been a stud, though, when he's been on the field. So I don't think this is like a step back. It actually more is an opportunity for him to be like, okay, now here is my chance to start, because he hasn't gotten an opportunity with a Preston Smith and a Za'Darius Smith, 2 really talented players. But you're talking about Rashawn Gary that had 5 sacks last year, playing less than half the snaps, so he wasn't starting. He had one of the top pressure rates in the league through week 10 last season. Really doesn't drop into coverage that much, though. Also look at Darnell Savage here when he gets to limited participation. Again, it just looks like limited. Okay, what's that mean? But like we said yesterday, it's a big deal for him because they were prepared to not even have him practice, and he could have played Monday. So the fact that now he's practiced back-to-back days is a big deal. He's in a good spot. He's positioned himself that he's likely going to be on the field in this game. And Savage and Amos, those are 2 good safeties, so expect to see Darnell Savage on the field Monday Night Football. At the bottom, you can see Josh Myers still full participation, so that's good news for him. And finally, Mercedes Lewis, the tight end. No practice today, but it was vet rest. I haven't seen vet rest in a while, so Lewis getting some vet rest. I see you, Mercedes. Okay, you do you, man. No practice from him, but he's going to be good to go as basically their number 2 tight end for that game. Now, not a lot of changes there aside from the whole Za'Darius Smith situation. And now let's move on to our Detroit Lions side of the injury report. Okay, on the left is yesterday's, on the right is today. Wait, is this right? Right or left? Yeah, you're seeing this, so that means on the okay. Yeah, on the right, I'm not sure what I'm thinking. It's gonna be flipped. On the right is today's injury report. Again, nope, not a lot of changes here for the Lions side either. Strong and Tyrell continue to be on concussion protocol. No participation today. Looks unlikely that they will play a Monday Night Football. So look for Levi, the rookie out of Washington, to possibly take that spot from Strong, which means the Lions don't have to necessarily activate a guy like Bruce Hector on the practice squad. They could, but they don't have to. If they want to, I'm down with it. I like Hector, but if not, I get it. And especially if you're going to have Levi back in the field, and he's looking like he's going to play. And Tyrell Williams with no participation. They weren't super optimistic about it yesterday, and no participation again. Again, don't rule them out, because there's no guarantee that these guys on concussion protocol are out. But it just didn't sound great the way they were talking about it. They didn't seem super optimistic that he'd be playing Monday Night Football. They brought Geronimo Allison back for a reason. So it seems right now that he probably won't be on the field for Monday night. But I'm gonna believe. Let's not shut it down yet. You never really know. Looking for Kadero Hodge to get some snaps out there for sure. Benson, I think, takes a bigger role this week, being more comfortable. Of course, we have a guy like Cephas. So we'll see what happens. Hodge or Allison, which one, if either of those guys, get activated for this Monday Night Football game. What we're seeing right now, I think, is a lot of limited participation with a lot of teams around the league and the Detroit Lions. Limited participation isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just limiting these guys throughout the week, especially players that you know what you're going to get, right? So these guys being limited, it's nothing crazy here. All with the shoulder injury, right? We were talking about that. Is that because of stress? I don't know what it is. Playing defensive line, and maybe that just puts more stress on your shoulder, but they're all dealing with that, and they're all still limited participation. The good news is, they declined to no participation, so they're still practicing, which is great news. The big one here comes with DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, because we did get some updates on these guys, specifically DeAndre Swift, as Deuce Staley talked about him. He talked about the good job that Swift and Jamal did, kind of as a 1-2 punch together, thunder, lightning. I love it. And he said with DeAndre Swift, there is no concern with the whole limited participation. He's still practicing. He's dealing with a groin injury that we've all known about, but they don't anticipate him to be on any kind of snap count. He said he wasn't on a snap count in the last week, like we were told he wasn't going to be. You know, those guys kind of rotated towards the end of the game. Swift got a lot more snaps because the situation we were in. And Jamal is playing well, so Jamal should have got a lot of carries. But they're not concerned with the fact that it's limited participation. They feel good with where he's at, and they don't expect him to have to be managed how many snaps he gets. We didn't hear any bad news with Jamal Williams either. You know, we did hear from Jamal Williams yesterday. I think those two guys are in a good spot. I think they're both going to be good to go. They're just both listed with limited participation. And finally, the good news here is that Levi, as we talked about yesterday, still full participation from the rookie out of Washington. I love it. Levi may be making his NFL debut on Monday Night Football. And against that D-line that's missing some pieces, can we get a sack? Can we get a sack from the rookie? I would love to see that. So really no updates in terms of, you know, progression with any of these guys, but it's also a good thing when you go and you continue to practice every day. We don't know how limited it is, but continuing to practice is always good news. But we'll keep an eye out with that defensive line. Definitely a shot that a guy like Hector gets promoted if any of those guys have to miss. Of course, the running back depth behind those two is good. I like that. One of these two outside linebackers can't go, Flowers or Romeo. You know, just expect to see Julian Okwara activated for this week. Calvin Shepard did talk about this, and he said, look, we got 5 guys. Usually you keep 4 outside linebackers. So for us, it's each week just competing to decide who goes up. Sometimes matchup based, sometimes just throughout the week, the competition level, and who's bringing it, I guess. And they bring 4 of the 5 guys up. So if we're missing one, just expect Okwara to be activated. He could be activated this week. You know, they said it could change. Last week, they went with Austin Bryant and Charles Harris. I wanted to make a note about the Lions addition that they made yesterday, Corey Ballantyne. We talked about him a little bit as a cornerback, but Rad made a good point. We were streaming as possibly a kick returner. And I didn't even think about this. I knew he did it, but I didn't even think, and it didn't click for some reason that, hold up, is this competition for Godwin? A guy that muffed a kickoff in the San Fran game, that didn't have fantastic returns in that game. Is this competition? Because what we know about the Lions is that they're never hesitant to bring competition. If you don't have a great week, they're going to bring competition. You could lose your job. We know that. Ballantyne could be a guy that could possibly compete for that role. Now, we know he could play special teams coverage. We know he does have the cornerback background. If you want to know more about him, check out yesterday's video. But he could possibly give us a little bit on special teams and could possibly make his debut as our kick returner in Monday Night Football, according to Dave Phipp. Rotated through a lot of guys at the return positions, kick returner and punt returner, especially kick returner, though. Craig Reynolds, who I didn't think was bad at kick returning, but obviously he's on the practice squad. We went through a lot of players, though, and Godwin, even though he flashed in the preseason, last week on 4 returns, only 55 yards. A lot of that had to do with the muff punt that he had, and that's obviously part of it. But you look at Corey Ballantyne, you look at his statistics, and Dave Phipp brought it up that he was a good returner for his career, averaging 24.5 yards per kick return. If you compare his kick return stats to the rest of the league last season and the 12 returns that he had with the New York Jets, he'd fall in about 11th place with guys that had at least 10 kick returns. There's a couple guys like 1 or 2, so I don't count them. He'd fall in about 11th place in terms of the league, which is not bad. 24.5 on his career would be above average. If you compared it to last season's kick returners. Good kick return stats each year that he's done it. He's had a couple big ones. In 2020, he had a 66-yard kick return. 2019, he had a 52-yard kick return. As we stated, we know what he could bring on the defense side of the ball in terms of coverage. So, as a returner, this definitely could be the Lions roll with. And going back to college, he had some kick returns back at Washburn. In 2017, we really saw him doing. He had 23 attempts in 2017 that he averaged 30.6 yards a kick return on for 700 yards. So 23 attempts, 700 yards. And in 2018, his final season, 24 attempts, much less. It was just under 20 yards per kick return, but he definitely has the background to do it. He is pretty darn fast. We know about him, one of the things they like most, he's a pure athlete. He's shifty, he's fast, he's got that burst, a sub 4.5 40. So yeah, this could be who the Lions go with. Remember, Godwin went from safety to running back. So this guy, he's had that kick return background, so he's done it. This is new to Godwin, by the way. This would not be new to our man Corey Ballantyne. So we'll see how this works out, but he's definitely had experience doing it. And he's had some big returns in his past. He's still looking for that kick return touchdown. Hopefully he gets some Monday Night Football as he's starting, but I would look out for him possibly get a role. This is kind of a big deal because obviously Godwin, I mean, he's on the roster right now. The Lions kept him to kind of be their top kick returner and their 4th running back. I don't know if I go as far to say that if he takes his job, Godwin doesn't keep a roster spot, but I know that, I mean, you never know, right? Especially when you have injuries at cornerback, things like that, pieces moving around. Godwin would be your 4th running back at that point. I don't think they would release him because I think they want to keep him. I don't think they want to lose him, but it's interesting because we know that if he can win the kick returner job, I know we're jumping a little far here, but if he can, because of the way that Phipp talked about him, plus he can play in coverage just like Godwin gives you too, This is your Lions and Packers injury report. Again, my offensive game plan video is coming out soon. I'm editing it right now, but this video I want to put out first. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, man. If you download the app, let me know in the comments below. I'm sorry, I've been bad on comments recently. I've been trying to catch up with the app. Lions Nation Unite. Message me over there. I'm going to do my best to get back to you. I have a couple that I looked at. One was asking me about the Taylor Decker situation. I'll get back to you, my man. But definitely message me over there, and I'm trying to get through my Instagram and stuff. This is just a weird week because game days, man, you don't get no time off. But I love it. Thank you, bro, for watching, and I'm out.